Today we're dealing with constructions, and this is actually 3-3 and some of 3-4 because we're going to do constructions on the other side of lines perpendicular. But construct a line parallel, given a line and a point, parallel to the line through a given point. Ooh, man, tough stuff. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is you have to take and draw a line through point N through line L. Okay, and it doesn't matter what angle, so just take your straight edge. Okay, what kind of card do I have? Ooh, I have the Joker. Nice. Okay, take your straight edge and draw a line through your point and through your line. Okay? Hopefully you don't have as much trouble as I'm having there. All right. Okay, and from there, we're going to go ahead and take our compass, and actually, let's make some points here so that we can reference. Let's call that point A, so we have a point that we can reference, and you're going to put the point of your compass on A, and then you're going to open your compass up so that you can make an arc through each line there. Drew? No, doesn't have to be even with N. Yeah. It's easier if it's below point N, but technically it could be above point N, and that would be fine as well. Okay. All right, and from there, once you have that, you're going to take and keep your compass at the exact same. And you're going to put it in the center of point N, best you can. It's kind of a big point. And you're going to make that same arc. All right, now you're going to take your compass and you're going to measure. So you're going to have to adjust it here. But you're going to measure the width of this angle. So if you put your point, let me name this. Let's say I call that point B, right there. If you put your compass at point B, and then open it up until you reach what we could call point C and make an arc there. So measure that length. I guess we could call that point C there. Okay. Yeah, good. Put your compass point at point B, and then make an arc where your first arc hits point C. So I've got to make sure I've got there we go. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and keep our square. We're going to go ahead and keep our compass set the same. I'm going to label this point D. And I am going to set my compass point at point D. And I'm going to make an arc right there. Okay? We can call that point E, because it's the next letter of the alphabet. You have 2 points. Okay? Point D and point E. I'm going to draw my line through point D and through point E. And that line I drew, if I call it, I'm going to call it line M. That should be parallel to L. I realize that this is kind of a small length there, but small distance here. So sometimes if our compass slides, it may not look quite parallel. But if I want to show that these are parallel, we should also put the appropriate markings on there. Okay. So line M is parallel to L. All right. I want you to go ahead and try number 2 on your own there. All right. Let's go on. Use segments given to construct a trapezoid. So first, tell your neighbor what a trapezoid is.
Yeah. It has 2 parallel sides. Like this? Like a square.
Look like a dam.
Okay.
She's not too comical. She's pretty serious about whatever she's eating. All right. What's a trapezoid? All right. Very good. No one knows. Hunter knows. Yes, Hunter. Awesome. Quadrilateral, one set of parallel lines is a trapezoid. So it says with bases, the length of A and B. So your bases in a trapezoid are the parallel lines. So we want A and B to be our parallel lines. So in order to make a trapezoid, the first thing you need to do is construct parallel lines. So start by drawing a line. And then drawing another line. Doesn't matter the angle. I'm going to make it like this. Okay? And using those 2 lines, I want you to make parallel lines, just like you did up above here. Okay? So go ahead and construct parallel lines. Once you get that, then we'll move on to the next. For those of you struggling a bit on the parallel lines, pay attention up here. Okay? Once you've made your 2 lines intersect, you take and make an arc. Okay, and I, for some reason, let my compass slide all over. Let's try that again. There we go. All right, that arc intersects. I'm going to label this point. I'm going to call that one point A, call that one point B, and call that one point C. Okay, I am going to put another point up here. I'll just call that point D. And once I have that arc from A that intersects at B and C, I'm going to put my point of my compass at point D. And I am going to make that same arc. Okay, replicate that arc there from point D. Okay, and then from there, I'm going to open up my compass, the width of C to B. So I'm going to measure that distance right there. I'm going to show you that I measured it by making a little mark there. Okay, so I put my point on C or B, and I measure to the other point, C or B. Okay. Either way, you should get the same thing. And then I'm going to take the point of my compass, and I'm going to set it on, I guess I should name this point. We'll call that point E. I'm going to set the point of my compass on point E. And I am going to mark off that same arc length. Now, I didn't make my arc long enough, so I have to go back and make that arc a little longer. So let me get this distance here again. where that intersects, if I call that point F, drawing a line through there, your line straight like mine tried to run away. Okay, those lines are now parallel. All right, so now I need to construct segment A and B as my basis. So I'm going to measure off A. Okay, so there's my length A, and it's got to be a base. So once I take and measure that, I've got to go down here. And I'm actually going to go to point A, and I'm going to measure that as one of my bases, just off that parallel line there. Okay, so somehow make a note to yourself that this length right here, from A out to where my line intersects, that is the length of A. So I'm going to actually sketch mine in pen right there. Call that is length A. Small a. Okay. So once you're done using these other points, if you want, you can erase the letters if they're confusing to you. All right. And then I'm going to do the same thing with B. I'm going to measure this length off for segment B. Now I'm going to set my compass at point D, and I'm going to measure that length. Bless you. And once again, make sure you make a note to yourself that this distance from there out to there is length B. Where these two endpoints are, if you connect those, you now have a trapezoid. As long as you have two parallel sides, it's a trapezoid. So some students like to shade it or highlight it. They have in the past, so if you'd like to, that's one way to do it. There's my trapezoid. Please note that you should mark this side parallel to that side. That's so cool looking, man. Okay, once you tried that one, got that one down, try number 4. I'll be around. Okay.
So before I turn these in, do I have to grade them?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention back up here? So you finished number 4. Once you're done with number 4, I want you to move on to number 5. Using segments A and B from problem 4, construct a parallelogram. So what's a parallelogram? Can't be all sides are parallel. I know what you mean, though. KJ? Yeah. 2 sets of sides. 2 sets of parallel sides. Quadrilateral with 2 sets of parallel sides. Okay? So, A and B have to be those sides. Those sets of sides. Okay, I'm going to let you do that one on your own. Shouldn't have to construct any angles, I'll tell you that. All right, give it a go. All right, so I've seen many of you started out like this, which by the way is a pretty good strategy. You just made 2 lines that intersect at a point. Fantastic. I'm going to call that point A. What did you guys do after that? You want to give me their... Hunter, what'd you do? Made a little arc, like this arc? Okay? I'm going to tell you you don't need to even do that. But you can do that, Hunter. I'm not saying you did it wrong. You can do that. A bit quicker way. Hey, you guys, open up our compass to length of A or B. So if I go ahead and measure off length B. Oops, maybe. That is not length B. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay, and then put my compass at point A, and I can measure off length B. All right, so I know now from this point to right here, that is B. In fact, I might want to use a different point other than A. Since I'm using A and B up there, I'm going to call that X. Okay, that is length B. And I can do the same thing for A. Let's measure off A and mark it on the bottom part. Okay, so we've got A. Come down here, put it on point X, and also mark off A. Anyone try that strategy? Are we done? Hey, we have a corner of our parallelogram. How could we get the other corner? Alex?
So, you measure point line B again, and then you do it from the end of A.
Okay. And then what?
And then you tack
Okay, can I do that with A? What if I put this point right here, and I measure it off like that? So go to the top there, and measure off length of A up here. How do I know where that intersects?
by doing point B at the A.
Good, yes. Very good. Yeah, so now I can open up my compass to point B again. Which is right there. And I can go up here and put it at the end of segment A and arc it off. And that place where those two intersect, that is the fourth corner of my parallelogram. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. All four corners. Connects all four corners, which are called vertices. And you should have a parallelogram. How did I get what? You figured it out, man? Okay, make sure you put your markings there. Your parallel symbols. Very aerodynamic. Okay, so if we turn it over, the good news about the other side, if you had a harder time on the front, the good news about the back, it's a lot easier. When you're dealing with perpendicular lines through a given point on the line, it's a pretty easy process. Okay, first thing, you need to make sure there's enough room on each side of the line on this point. So like at this point, you got plenty of room on both sides. At this point, you don't have a lot of room on this side, so you may want to actually extend this line just a bit. So you're going to have enough room when you go to construct. You need some room on both side parts. Okay? So first thing you do, perpendicular, put your point of your compass on point P and make an arc on either side. I see some students like to just make a big circle. You did one similar to it, yeah. Okay? I see some students put a happy face. They do this. They're like, woohoo! They go semicircle. Some put a whole circle. I just need to see where those points intersect. Okay, so if I call that point X and that point Y, once I have those, I'm going to take my compass, put it on point X, and I'm going to open it up enough so that it looks like it'll go, it has to open further than point P away. So I go like kind of 2/3 down the line or so, maybe 3/4 down the line. And I'm going to make that arc out here. Okay, so it's not really a set distance, it just has to be further than P. Okay, and then I go to point Y and I make that same arc out there. so that it intersects my previous arc. Okay? Once I do that, I have a third point. We'll call that point Z, because that's alphabetical. And we draw a line through point P and point Z. And that line is now perpendicular to line L. It's like the corner of a right triangle, man. Woohoo! If we wanted a right triangle, we could just draw a line here and go, ka-chow, we got a right triangle. Okay? But we shouldn't get too willy-nilly like that. Or willy and nilly. Okay? Here we go. Try it for number 7. All right, construct a line perpendicular to a given line through a given point not on a line. Now, we have done this one. Okay? I think this is the one we did earlier in the year. If you recall, we put our compass on point R, and we have to make it so it'll intersect line L. Okay? Oops. So you want to make sure, first I'm going to extend L, otherwise this is going to be a little more difficult. All right. You want to make sure that as you put your compass down to point, make sure it extends past line L. If you were to just measure that, sorry, there you go. See, measure that length. Make sure it extends past point or line L. Otherwise, it makes it really difficult. And then just make a big happy face that will intersect line L in 2 places. Now, notice on this side over here, it's not intersecting. So I'm going to have to make it extend that line a bit more again. So we got a point there and a point there. We call that one X and that one Y. I can then take my compass. If I want, I can adjust it. That's fine. But just somewhere out here, I have to make an arc from Y, and with that same measurement, go to X and make that same arc. And make it so they intersect. Okay, and then I have a point here, which we call Z. And if I draw it through, I'm going to have to use a different straight edge here. Through point R and point Z, through line L, that line is perpendicular. Yes?
Does it have a path? Could it be in between the 2 arrows?
Can it be in between the 2 arrows? You mean the where it intersects?
So you see how there's an arrow at line L and another one? Does that have to be on the outside or inside?
No, you mean the point of intersection? Yeah, it could be in between. Yeah. Alrighty. So your assignment is going to be to complete 2 of these constructions down here. You pick which 2. Okay? It's whichever 2 you want to complete. Okay? If you do more than 2, fantastic, you get a little more practice, but please make sure you number them here. If you want a little extra credit, I might give you some extra credit for doing more than 2 there. Okay, make sure you leave your construction markings, do them on a separate sheet of paper. Okay, if you need to check out a compass, please make sure you sign one out on the sign-up sheet up here. Okay, any questions? All right.